In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast,
we look at how travel habits are changing.
And we answer your questions about using an A-frame in France, weight limits in that country as well, and if dogs are allowed at Warner's shows in 2026. Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans, all brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Please remember to click follow on your favourite podcast app or click subscribe on YouTube. If you're heading abroad in the van this year and want to watch UK TV, don't forget your NordVPN.
Yeah, this is clever. It lets you stream UK TV abroad like you're still at home. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it, exactly. No faffing with dodgy websites or just being blocked by the iPlayer. Fire up NordVPN, tell it you're in the UK, and boom, it's like you're back on the sofa, even if you're parked up in a French air.
Boom, boom. And you're still using it all the time at home as well.
Yeah, because it does way more than streaming. Their Threat Protection Pro blocks malware, scam sites, even annoying ads. I leave it running on my laptop 24/7 now and just set it and forget it.
So, where do I go?
Just head to nordvpn.com/motorhomematt. You'll save big, get 4 extra months free, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Sorted. One less thing to worry about when you're on tour.
Yeah, or at home. It's a bit of kit I wouldn't go without now.
So, Matt, the main meat of the podcast today, how is travel changing? I know you've recently cheated on us and you've been on a cruise.
Don't tell anyone.
Is that the sound of the ocean going past?
That's a secret. I didn't advertise it. I'm not becoming Cruising Craig. Don't panic. But we have just been on a cruise. It actually formed part of my recuperation. It was a present for Mrs. Motorhome Matt. And the surgeon said, I think it'd be a lovely way of recuperating and taking it easy.
Matt's had a triple heart bypass.
So, 5 weeks later, we were on a Fred Olsen cruise to the Canaries. And there were people on the ship that were saying, you had what done? When was this? I was like, just over a month ago. And they were stunned. So, it was a really nice way to recuperate.
So, in the restaurant, did you jokingly clutch your chest and fall face first into your custard and rhubarb?
No, I didn't.
No, you should have done. You might get something for nothing.
Why would I do that?
Get a freebie.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that. I just walked rather carefully around the ship,
right.
Particularly going through the Bay of Biscay in December. That was fun. Maybe not to be repeated, but anyway, we had a great time. And I think, this got me thinking anyway, I think that people are going to mix up how they travel in 2026 and onwards. And obviously there's been lots of choices of many varieties of ways we can get away on a holiday and enjoy a break. But I think they are becoming more accessible than ever. And I wanted to try and unpack that a little bit more.
Right, but I mean, the thing is, when people have got a motorhome, they want to use it as much as possible. And we do say the value is in holidays for the next 3, 4, 5 years and all the rest of it. Now you're backtracking a bit and saying, well, maybe you want to mix it up. You can have a package holiday or a cruise and then use your motorhome.
You can, yeah. Well, when I was at the Manchester show, obviously you've got the Motorhome and Caravan show there, and then you've got Destinations next door. And they kind of morph into one.
Well, and that's Destinations is a travel exhibition.
Yeah, it's tourist boards from all over the world, literally globally. Cruise operators, walking tours, you name it, they're all there. Beautiful hotel retreats. We saw a lovely hotel on Madeira. We visited Madeira. That is an amazing place.
Love their cake.
Well, yeah, it is really nice. I'll tell you what, we went to Lisbon as well on this cruise.
Yeah.
We discovered places that we would definitely go back to in the van. And I'd love to take our camper van onto the island of Madeira. Have you ever done it? I'd love to know if you have. What did it cost to get the ferry? Were there campsites to stay in? I've got all these questions I want answering, and I'm using the podcast to get answers for them. We'd love to go back there and take our van onto the island. It's beautiful, and equally Lisbon as well. Maybe stay outside and go into Lisbon for a few days, maybe Airbnb somewhere to stay in Lisbon. So that's the point really. It's about mixing up your holiday experience. I also see that we do this, but I see lots of other people going away more often and for shorter breaks, which I think is a very European way of holidaying. And the way the Europeans use their vans are short, sharp breaks, whereas historically and traditionally we do a big 2-week holiday and then several weekends through the year. The Europeans holiday all year, okay, they've got the weather for it, but they do lots of little breaks and maybe, a big long break as well. But the way we work has changed, the way we holiday has changed. And I wanted to really get a view from a few people that know a bit more about this than maybe I do. And I started by asking a household name, a travel journalist for The Independent. He does loads for the BBC as well. Simon Calder. You will definitely recognise his voice if you don't know who he is. And I asked him what was his view.
What's the big trend in travel? I think it's slowing down. People are keener to see the world at a more sensible place. None of this dashing around by air. More and more people wanting to stay terrestrial, whether that is being nice and high up in a motorhome or indeed travelling by rail. And a great thing, of course, about a motorhome is that once you find a good location, if there's a station nearby, you can simply go off and explore. Have a lovely 2026, everybody.
Now, I'm privileged to be joined by someone who has a bit of a helicopter view of the travel industry. I'm with Ben Myatt, who is the organiser of the Caravan Motorhome and Holiday Show that runs in Manchester and the Destination Show. Ben, welcome back onto the podcast.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here again.
Now, it's great to have you. Now, Ben, this is the second year that you've had the privilege of running the Destination Show and the Caravan Motorhome and Holiday Show. It's such a mouthful. But how are travel habits changing from your perspective? Someone with, as I call it, that helicopter view.
People are still really investing and valuing experiences of getting out there and their holidays. I think it's a really buoyant time. People are probably demanding more from those experiences, whether it's a spec of a vehicle or whether it's a holiday that they're booking. But I think the market's really buoyant and people are, on the whole, probably putting more of their hard-earned money towards those experiences than they have in the past. So probably foregoing whether it's new clothes or fitting out things or whatever it might be, sort of a new home, to actually going to having amazing summer holidays, winter holidays throughout the year, those experiences.
Now, you mentioned money. Now, it's interesting that I see that you as an organiser kind of fraternise with our enemy, because in the motorhome industry, there's a lot of talk of trying to keep every pound in our niche. But of course, the reality is that's unrealistic because people enjoy a mix of holidays. And here at this show, we've got motorhomes, camper vans, caravans and more. And then we've got all these tourist boards from all around the world. And we're kind of distracting people away from one into the other. Do you see it that is fraternising with enemies, or is it just a case of an offering that mixes it up?
Yeah, we certainly don't see it that way. We have the shows alongside each other because we think there's a really nice synergy there. And actually, I've worked on events in sectors where there is a lot of competition and a load of rivalry and at times some serious politics. I think thankfully within the hall here, we haven't had to split up many fights because a lot of people, they're going on multiple trips. And so actually they can come to the show, admittedly with a vehicle. They're probably not going to be buying multiple vehicles, but certainly on the holiday side, a lot of our visitors might book sort of 3 holidays here.
Yeah.
And we see those that are coming to destinations to be inspired for travel. It's a natural fit to then open them to the opportunity to actually, stay closer to field, have the freedom of what comes with a leisure vehicle. Whether you're going into Europe or staying and seeing the amazing things in the UK. So I think they complement each other really well, and it's not certainly mutually exclusive. Hopefully people can spend and it can benefit the sector.
And I think it's a unique offering. Yeah, but it's a unique offering, this show, because you can look at motorhomes, camper vans, and then consider a holiday to Jamaica, which is not somewhere you're going to drag your caravan, is it?
Yeah, sadly. I think we've looked into the air freight and it just didn't quite work out.
No, I think it's a brilliant show. It's a great concept. And please keep doing it.
We certainly will. Yeah, it's been a great year, this one. Thanks for all your support. And looking forward to next year already.
I'm joined by Kathy from Barefoot Caravans, a famous caravan in our industry and a famous face to our industry as well.
Oh, thank you.
Kathy, you've been doing this for 10 years, selling the Barefoot Caravan. Have you seen the way people are travelling change over that time?
Yeah, definitely. I think when we first developed the caravan, we thought people would use them for sort of long weekends or a week at a time.
Yeah.
It's almost like the 90 days rule for Europe has become a challenge. So many people go and do the full 90 days in Europe. They might add on a trip to Morocco as well to give themselves a bit longer.
Okay.
So it is amazing, how long people
Interesting.
travel
So
for,
a positive spin from Brexit then.
Well,
that they're perhaps going for longer.
A few challenges, but for sure, there's lots of people travelling around Europe. Scotland's always been very popular, of course, Devon and Cornwall. Yeah, this is really narrow, so it fits down any of the narrow lanes, which I think has been a big draw for people rather than towing a wider caravan,
Yes. And it's not just about the traditional family holiday anymore, is it? Festivals are also a big destination for your customer base.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I took this one to Glastonbury. We ended up with nearly 1 million views on YouTube from me just doing a little video at Glastonbury. So people are really inspired by that, and they come along and meet us at shows, and so they've seen us, doing some of these trips, as well as they want trips around Europe.
Well, keep on inspiring people to travel.
Oh, thank you.
Luke is the man behind the camera. We rarely see his face or hear his voice. But Luke, your way of motorhoming has changed. Give me this. Let's hear from you.
Okay, have you got that? Are you good? My motorhoming has changed massively. Me and my partner used to actually live in our motorhome, and we travelled all around Europe. It was amazing, but then we came back to the UK and it was very, very difficult. So our plans have changed completely. We're now out of the motorhome and we're going away. We're flying to destinations and then renting camper vans out there. For us, it's a much more of an actual holiday experience, and we love it. So that's how we're going to travel going forwards.
I'm joined by Peter Vaughan from Out and About Live and, of course, the Vaughan Shows and the Motorhome Campervan YouTube channel. Peter, you've been working in the motorhome industry for over 4 decades. How has travel trends evolved in that time, in your eyes?
I think going back to when I went in vans with my parents, if people had a campervan or a motorhome, that was how they did all their holidays.
It was probably a caravan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we used to go with the Sussex area group of the Camping and Caravanning Club's motorhome or motor caravan section.
Okay.
And there was people with old Bedfords and Commas and things that were.
Wow,
probably,
you are old.
Yeah, I am.
And do you think it's changed?
Comma auto sleeper.
So was that all the holidays you had? All of them were in the van?
Pretty much then, yes. Yeah. And we before my dad bought the first van, we always had holidays in France in hotels, and then we bought the camper van, and after that we had a lot more holidays, but they were always in the van.
Always in the Bedford CF.
Comma.
In the comma.
And
so now then, do you think people are mixing it up? They're buying a van and...
I think they are. I think that, those short breaks, perhaps if you want to do a city break to Rome or something, you can't easily do that with your motorhome. You've got to take 2 weeks to get there and back and enjoy it. But now, if you've got a few days off work, you can get a cheap flight and go off to...
Yeah, well, hopefully those people who are flying off abroad are looking at our industry thinking, oh yeah, we'd like a van as well.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting too, isn't it? Because in my early days, France was quite adventurous for some people. In 1980, we went to Bulgaria in a van. Mm-hmm. And people thought we were mad, why are you going all that way?
All that way. Bulgaria.
Yeah, 5,000 miles in a month we did.
Wow.
But now people go to Morocco and don't think anything, it's not unusual. We did a trip with Bailey and went to Morocco.
You were in the desert, weren't you?
Yeah, in the Sahara.
And people go, of course, further afield than that in their van from the UK. Brilliant. Really interesting. Thanks for your insight.
The last voice you heard there was Peter Vaughan, a journalist. Luke Venus, a videographer.
He's our cameraman.
We used to call him a cameraman, didn't we? Kathy Chamberlain, Managing Director at Barefoot Caravans. Ben Myatt, the show manager at Clarion Events. And we kicked off with Simon Calder, the travel journalist, works for The Independent and appears on your TV on and off and your radio as well. He's sort of a one-stop shop for anybody who wants to book somebody who knows what they're talking about when it comes to tourism. So getting away comes with so many options. options, as we've heard. And the Caravan and Motorhome Club recently recognised roof tents as an accepted vehicle onto their sites as well. So change is afoot.
Change is afoot, yeah. We're seeing more and more campsites innovating with a boom in pods, bell tents.
What are pods?
Like it could be anything. It could be a wooden built pod, but somewhere where basically you just live and sleep for the weekend or longer. But different types of accommodation.
Oh, right. So no, you don't necessarily drive it around.
No. They're static.
Yes.
And bell tents and all kinds of different types of accommodation, and campsites innovating with lots of different ways of attracting us. Festivals as well, becoming a destination through the year as a means of getting away. So I think there's a real mix and style of travel, and I think as Brits we are mixing it up more and more.
And you said a little bit earlier about a move to be more European in our travel style, shorter and more frequent breaks. They do get more public holidays, the odd bank holidays, than we do in places like France and Spain. But Spain have got a great scheme which is going. If you're your retirement age, over 65, you get a 3 weeks holiday in Spain, I think.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Let's move there.
Absolutely.
I also think there's a big cultural shift since the pandemic on the ability to work from home. It means we can actually work from anywhere.
So it's not necessarily a holiday?
It's not necessarily a holiday. It could just be, particularly with a motorhome, this is where they're so great, you can be working from the van whilst you're away from home.
In a different place.
In a different location every day. Why not? So equally, you could be doing that in a hotel somewhere abroad. As long as you're connected and you've got internet access and you're able to engage with colleagues and you're getting the job done, then why not? It depends on your employer, doesn't it, I suppose? But, often, and depends what resources you need as well to do your job. But if you've got that flexibility to work remotely, then we can travel and work at the same time. I do it all the time, and we can work now whether you're in Bolton or Bali. It doesn't really matter.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
Brought to you with thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Get 15% off your premium with Ripe. The discount applies automatically if you click the link in this episode description.
It's the Q&A, the questions and answers, where you ask the questions and he, Motorhome Matt, gives you the answer. If he doesn't know, he'll ask somebody who does. First of all, Steve got in touch.
Hi, Matt. Going over to France later this year. Now, is it okay to use an A-frame, or do you have to have a trailer? There seems to be a lot of pluses and a lot of minuses about whether this is legal or not in France. Could you advise? I've heard something about some Geneva Convention law or something. I don't know. Perhaps you could enlighten me. Would really appreciate it.
There you go then, Matt. Steve wants to know, and he didn't say where he was from. It'd be nice if you did when you pose your questions to us, either in writing or the audio ones. But my guess, he's somewhere in the Midlands.
I would guess so too.
Yes.
So, Steve, my advice is go and check out an episode we did on this topic. It was called "Can You Tow a Car with an A-Frame in Mainland Europe?" And if you add Motorhome Matt to your Google search, you will find the episode. We unpack it in quite some detail, where we explain what is the Vienna Convention, what is the impact on us Brits on going into Europe, and can we tow a car on an A-frame.
There you go. Keith Brown's in Norwich. Can you please clear up the topic of the 3.5 tonne weight limit in France? We're currently touring France, and my question is, if you have a 4.5 tonne van, are you allowed to access the restriction in order to reach your campsite/air within a village or area where the limit is? If you aren't, this will severely restrict the amount of sites that you can use. So is there a limit? Isn't there a limit?
There often is a limit. It's all about what the sign says. So there's a given practice in the UK, which is generally accepted in France. If it says "except for access," you are permitted to drive through the sign to your destination. What's really important is you don't then drive through that restricted area and out the other side to use it as a shortcut. You are only allowed to drive in if you are going somewhere within that restricted zone. If it doesn't say "except for access," it may be there for good reason, like there's a weak bridge or a very, very narrow bit of road. So it's really important you don't drive down that. And "except for access" in French, I'm going to try this, is "sauf désert local." Is that right?
I think so.
SAUF, dessert with an E.
He's going to spell it out, isn't he?
Local with an E.
Sauf dessert local,
Yeah,
or sometimes sauf riverain,
Yeah, except residents, that means.
sauf access.
Less common, but very literal.
So what do they mean in practice then?
So it means, in reality, except for access.
Right,
So if it
sauf
says
dessert
that-
local means except for local access.
Yes.
So that's businesses, campsites, homes and deliveries. Sauf riverain is except for people who live there.
Yes.
Sauf access means except for access.
Yeah. So if you are over the 3.5 ton or whatever the weight limit is on the sign, and it has some of those words on it, you are permitted in there. If it doesn't, the risk is there's a very weight-restricted bridge, so it'd be there for good reason. If your campsite, for example, though, is beyond that restriction and it says sauf-dessert local, you're normally fine to drive your 4.5 ton motorhome into the zone to reach it. But if it's the other side, no, don't drive through.
Yep.
You're not allowed. You have to drive around.
Yeah. Michelle Taylor's in Cwmbran. Hi, are dogs allowed for a day pass at the Warner's show in August?
Yeah. If you mean the Walvin show, in fact, all the shows, yes. The answer is yes. Dogs are permitted throughout the trade area. They're not permitted unless they're an assistance dog into the main headline entertainment. This is normally the case, but there is usually a pet-friendly option laid on in the evening for those with dogs, and that's where we take Reg if we have him with us.
There you go. So how did people get in touch?
We would
then,
love
Matt?
it if you did. Yeah, please head to mhmp.info/askmatt. You can record your question, tell us where you are, or you can fill out the form and we'll read it for you.
And if you're looking for trusted brands and services, then make sure you visit the Motorhome Matt approved directory. It's at mhmp/approved.
And remember, follow on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe and that little bell.
Au revoir.